Hello, I'm Irma Baker. Welcome to our show. We're sponsored by RSVP, a program of mature services serving Summit and Medina counties. We like to bring you shows about people and organizations and activities here in our viewing area. Right after these messages, we'll be back with today's guest.
RSVP of Summit County has been making a difference in our community since 1972. RSVP volunteers are increasing the quality of life by participating in programs and organizations that provide important services to the community. RSVP matches personal interests and skills with opportunities to serve. If you're interested in adding more meaning to your life and improving the lives of others, please call 330-253-4597 extension 166.
Welcome back. Our guest today is someone we've had on many times, one of our favorite guests, and that's Robert Fenn. Robert is a public affairs specialist for the Social Security Administration. Robert, so great to have you with us again.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity, and thank you for having me.
Well, we always enjoy having you on the show because you give us such good information.
I hope so.
And we're going to start right away. Tell us, what are the changes in Social Security?
Yes. Each year, Social Security has the possibility of a cost of living adjustment. And so what happens is when there's a cost of living adjustment, that cost of living adjustment change can cause other changes. So this year, 2014, there was a 1.5% cost of living adjustment. That cost of living adjustment is based on information that comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That information is sent to Social Security, and Social Security takes that information, and we also compile information which we find out what the average income is. Therefore, that affects things such as how much a person could make and still receive a Social Security benefit. So one of the first things I want to make sure that everyone in the audience understands is that if someone is less than their full retirement age, they are allowed to make, in previous years, 2013, that dollar amount was $15,120. But in 2014, that dollar amount is $15,480. Now, so that's if someone's age 62, 63, 64, 65. And many of your listeners and viewers already know that their full retirement age can change depending on when they were born. And so for those who are watching us, if they were born between 1943 and 1954, that person's full retirement age would be 66. So what's my point? My point is that if someone is going to be turning 66 this year, they are allowed to make $41,400. Now, what people do is they'll say, I'm allowed to make $41,400? When is that? You know, that's big money, at least it is to me. We at Social Security, we are going to look at how much they're going to make from the beginning of the year, January, up to the month before they actually reach 66.
So it's not really a full year.
It's not a full year.
It's an amount that can be accumulated up until that point when you reach full Social Security retirement age.
Excellent, excellent. And the reason I'm pointing it out is because people are looking to make ends meet. And one of the things you're going to do is say, okay, I have Social Security benefits coming to me, but I'm thinking about this part-time job, or I am continuing to work, or I'm deciding to retire come 2014. So am I still allowed to work? Well, if my birthday is in June, January through May, the month before that, Social Security is going to say, are you going to make more or less than $41,400 if I'm turning 66 this year? And in my opinion, if someone can make $41,400 in 5 months, that's not a bad income. Maybe not in Mr. Buffett's standpoint, but at least in my terms. But that's very important in terms of Social Security benefits. There are some individuals who have accumulated credits in Social Security each year. Will have a dollar amount, depending if there's, again, a cost of living adjustment that changes the amount to earn a credit, because it's these credits that make individuals insured for retirement benefits. It takes 40 credits for someone to be insured for a Social Security retirement benefit. Now, last year, okay, there was
I'm going to stop you right here for a minute.
Yes.
What's a credit?
A credit. A credit is a dollar amount in which Social Security equates to saying that you have earned enough of these credits based on their gross wages. This year, if someone was to make $1,200 gross, W-2 or the self-employment net wages, they earn one credit. Now, each year, a person can earn a maximum of 4 of these credits. So if I make $4,800 in 2014, I've earned my 4 credits. And what happens is you start to add these credits up over your lifetime, and you can get to 40. And once you get to 40, that means you're eligible for a Social Security retirement benefit. So this year, if someone was to say, I have 34 credits, and I know that each year I need to work, and if I work, I'm going to earn these credits. So this year, if I make $4,800, I'll have 38 of these credits. Then the next year, I'll be able to just get the next 2, work, and I'll have those 40 credits. And so what I'm trying to do is make sure that everyone knows is that when they work, they are accumulating these credits. When they work and start receiving a Social Security benefit, there is an annual earnings test. That's the dollar amounts that I was mentioning, the $15,480 if you're less than your full retirement age. If I'm going to turn my full retirement age of 66, that dollar amount is $41,400. And of course, I like to make sure I add the good news as well, is that if someone reaches their full retirement age in June, even if it's June 30th, if we count from the beginning of the month on, it doesn't matter what they make in terms of Social Security, their earnings. So they can make $1 million a month, June on, it has no effect at all. It's just the months prior to them turning age 66. And of course, the only obligation is if someone makes $1 million a month, I'm just hoping that they contact me so I can be a friend of theirs. That's all. That's it.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That'll be very nice.
But what I'm seeing here then is there are a number of changes that people should be aware of. There's the amount that people, the cost of living increase for people who are already receiving Social Security, as well as the amount that someone can earn if they have not reached full retirement age but are Social Security, receiving Social Security benefits. Mm-hmm. And there are also things like what you were just talking about.
That's right, once they hit the full retirement age.
Now, that's a lot of information. It's hard to keep it all in our heads.
You did great, yes.
How do people find out, if somebody's watching out here now, what can they do to find out, say, oh, I know he's talked about something about that. Yes. Where would they get the information?
Well, there's a variety of ways. Of course, if they contact Social Security, there's an 800 number, 1-800-772-1213. They will be able to get that information. Another way is that they will receive in the mail a notification stating, well, since you are less than your full retirement age, here's the dollar amount in which you are able to work, the $15,480 or the $41,400. So they'll get that notice in the mail, or they can also contact their local office, the tried and true, the brick and mortar, they can go there. Or again, many individuals are going to our website at socialsecurity.gov. Right in the middle of the screen there, we have what I call like a carousel of information. You'll see the words, cost of living adjustment. There's a couple there standing there on our website. They click on that, and then they will get the information. They'll see all the numbers that I'm mentioning. They'll see what the cost of living adjustment is. They'll see what the percentages are, the 1.5. They will see the dollar amounts. All that information is concise and clear right there on the website.
Well, that's terrific to have that kind of resource available to us. It seems like there's something for everybody, no matter how you want to get in touch with Social Security. The availability is there. Now, talking about availability, did I understand that there are some changes in the service operation hours?
Yes, and I want to make sure that, thank you for asking that question. As of last year, we did have some changes as far as our office hours, and people are still getting word of that and finding out, okay, well, what has changed here? Well, in short, office hours have changed. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, the hours are 9 to 3. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 9 to 3. On Wednesdays, those hours are 9 to 12. 9 to 12, okay? Now, we have 2 offices here in the Akron area and 1 in the Medina area. Now, there's a Medina office and there's another office in Akron near off Romick Road, 2166 Romick Road. And those are what we call freestanding offices, which means an individual can park in front of the building and come up and knock on the door. On Wednesdays, sometimes I'm seeing individuals at 12:30 knocking on that door because they'll see someone in the window. There's employees in there. Well, even though the hours are 9 to 12 on Wednesdays, the employees still have to work the 8-hour shifts, regardless of that. So my point is, I don't want anyone to think that, well, we're not just going to open the door for them, but those are the new office hours. Again, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 9 to 3, Wednesdays, 9 to 12. The phones were still being answered between those hours, but after those hours, we no longer have that service in the actual office, but they still can call the 800 number, the 1-800-772-123 number, between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. to get assistance as well.
Now, are those hours, are they also available on the website?
Oh, the website meaning 24/7?
No, what I meant was, can somebody go to the website and say, I don't remember what those hours were?
Thank you. Yeah, on our website, if someone is on our website and on the bottom left-hand side, they can see there's something called a Find an Office Locator. They click on that, type in their zip code, wherever they're living, and then it would show the address for the nearest Social Security office and the correct office hours. Yes.
That's great. I just like the fact that the information is easily accessible.
Yes.
In so many different ways. And I know that people who may not be on computers all the time, certainly we have other access. You said the phone number,
yes,
or perhaps even going to the library and asking a librarian to help them on the internet there.
Yes.
So great opportunity for that. But there's something else that I did want to ask you about, because I've just heard of it and I really wasn't aware of it. And that's something called a Compassionate Allowance Initiative. What is that all about?
Yes. Well, a couple of years back, our previous commissioner, Mr. Astrew, he had started an initiative which was based upon his own experience with Social Security. And that entails of finding out what a disability is and seeing if that disability matches with Social Security's definition. What people sometimes don't know or aren't informed of is that there's different places in which have different reasons for a disability, meaning Social Security has a definition, Job and Family Services may have a definition, workman's comp, unemployment, the variety of places. With Social Security, an individual has to be disabled for at least 12 months, or whatever's wrong could result in death. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. So with these compassionate allowances, what this means is that Social Security has now over 200, I believe the number is 225 compassionate allowances. Let me just make sure I take a step back so people understand what I'm referring to. With disability, when someone contacts Social Security and they say that they are disabled, Social Security will take an application. Now, normally an application can take on average 3 months, 30 days to 3 months or so. When someone has one of these compassionate allowance disabilities or disabling conditions, we're looking at those applications being processed within on average 10 days. But I've seen them soon as 3 to 7 days. I'll give you an example. Someone has a severe condition, and that severe condition, let's say ovarian cancer. That ovarian cancer, once someone applies for that disabling condition, when we see that on our records and we're able to obtain the information quickly, we will then process it quicker, allowing the individual to get a quicker decision on that. One of the latest ones that we just had as of the 15th of January is prostate cancer. And 1 out of 6 men are diagnosed possibly with prostate cancer. So that's a huge initiative out there, and that disabling condition matches up with our definition of a disabling condition. And so now we're looking for those claims to be processed quicker, and which results in a, if you will, a better product for the individual who has suffered from one of these disabling conditions.
What we're talking about here then are people who are not of Social Security retirement age, not an early retirement or full retirement age for Social Security, but have some condition that would qualify them for Social Security disability insurance.
Yes.
And there are some cases with these compassionate allowances then, we're talking about ones that need really to have that process speeded up.
That's right.
Because of the severity of whatever their condition is.
Excellent. That's exactly what it is.
So how are they determined?
They are determined. What happens is that when someone files for Social Security disability, and let me make sure I'll take a moment to break those apart. You have the disability umbrella, which Social Security is responsible for. So you have Social Security disability, and also there's SSI, Supplemental Security Income. The differences are Social Security disability, a person has paid into the Disability Trust Fund recently, and then there's SSI, which comes from general revenues. So you have the FICA tax, which helps Social Security's Disability Trust Fund, and SSI comes from the general revenues. Okay. Now, when someone is diagnosed with a disabling condition, of course, they contact Social Security, they take an application, and so within if that disabling condition will last 12 months, we get their information and we send it off to their doctors. Now, what happens is at the local field office, they take that information and they send it down to Columbus. Columbus is where the group of doctors are, which are the individuals who compile this information. They get a decision by retrieving all the medical information on that individual. Did you go to such and such hospital? What is the diagnosis? How long is this diagnosis lasted? How long could it last? You know, compiling that information. And I don't want to throw too much at everyone there, but that's what's taking place. Social Security would receive that information. There's a decision made, and we'll speak positive, that person is approved. Then Social Security sends them out what we call the award letter of their benefits. So it's really about the individual giving us information, us retrieving that information, proof of this individual's condition, and then sending them out the notification.
I was just going to ask you that. How do they get the information? How much is on the applicant to provide the information? And then you said something about proving,
yes,
getting proof of the information.
Yes, and then that's very important. Sometimes people will say, my doctor said I have been disabled. Now, the doctor's role is to look at them medically, but the doctor is not basing that disability decision on Social Security's definition of disability. So what happens is when we say we are obtaining proof, we can obtain proof from, of course, the doctor, psychiatrist, as well as family members. People sometimes assume that their family members aren't considered as important in terms of the decision making, and they are. And so an individual could say, my wife used to go out each Saturday participating in different activities. Now she's more withdrawn. That's an important thing to us. My husband used to go bowling every single week. Now he no longer does that. All these things are compiled as proof of evidence. Now again, we have to get the proof from you, the individual. It's not something that the local office can say, well, let's type this in and type this in. We have to gain proof. You are, if you were building a case to say whether or not you are disabled. And I should also put this in there for our viewers. And what I'm referring to when you combine the two together is that if someone has started, as you said, I am receiving a retirement benefit, there's a certain work requirement for that. For disability, if someone is age 62, and let's say they start getting a Social Security retirement check, time passes, let's say they're 64, then they become disabled, some condition, accident, whatever it may be. That person can still file for Social Security disability. Once a person hits their full retirement age, 66 or whatever it may be, then they cannot file for Social Security disability. So I just want to make sure that the viewers understand is that what I'm referring to is those who are, as you said, less than their full retirement age, and they have not passed age 66 if that's their current full retirement age.
Well, how does someone actually apply for a compassionate allowance?
Our system is savvy enough that it'll pick up certain conditions and certain verbiage in which an individual tells us. Now, I will say this, an individual can go to our website at socialsecurity.gov. On the right-hand side, there's a search button. They can type in the word compassionate allowances, and then they could see what those compassionate allowances are, the 225 that I mentioned. Now, what happens is that when someone contacts Social Security, whether they're going online and they file an application, or they're in person, or they're on the telephone, doesn't matter, the system will pick up ovarian cancer, it would pick up prostate cancer, whatever that condition is, and then we will send it off to the doctors to see how severe that condition is for that individual, because there are different stages for ovarian cancer and prostate cancer, and so that's how we find it. So simply, I don't want anyone to think that I have to have this in order to receive that. Someone could not, because someone could have a condition that's not as severe in their mind, but Social Security's, it matches up with their definition, and it can be still approved, is my point. So they just need to tell us, and we'll take the application, and then the system will pick up whether or not it falls underneath the category for a compassionate allowance.
Did you mention a little while ago how many conditions are considered compassionate allowance conditions?
Yes, 225, that's the current listing. Now that number can be expanded, because what happens is that our agency sits down with certain patient advocates, medical different mental health agencies, and we're basically getting all the information. Everybody comes to the table and explains, okay, why this condition is very important, and it does match up with what Social Security calls a disability. So that's what happens. So that number of 225 could be expanded even more.
I think that's already an incredible amount, and the idea that you are continuing to review and see how that needs to be adjusted or changed,
yes,
I think that's marvelous. Now, if someone does apply for a compassionate allowance, how are they notified?
Mm-hmm. That individual, just like other individuals who are receiving their benefit, they will get a notification. For the most part, that's mailed out to them, and it'll say this individual has been awarded. Now, it won't say compassion allowance, okay, on the letter that they receive. It'll just say you have been awarded Social Security disability benefits, X amount of dollars, you know. But what we are doing is, on our side, is we are picking up the verbiage, and then that allows us to know whether or not this is a compassion allowance, if it matches up. So I don't want anyone to think that they have to say the words compassion allowance. We already know. We'll receive that, and that information, we send it down again to Columbus. They will review that information, and then they'll get a letter, just like everyone else. But the difference is, again, it's expedited, sped up, to therefore get them their benefits in a more timely manner.
When you say get them their benefits, do they get a larger amount if it's a compassionate allowance?
Excellent question. The answer is no, because the dollar amount is based upon the individual's work history. The only difference here is that, I guess, the end result could be their benefit amount. They're going to get that check amount. Again, it does not change just because of whatever the condition is, but they will also be entitled to that benefit maybe sooner. So as opposed to them waiting the 3 months, they'll get their payment within that 3 to 7 days. On average, right now, the average is around 10 days. So now, again, their month of entitlement, you know, most individuals, they file for Social Security disability, there's a 5-month waiting period. So this would mean that I'm entitled to the benefit as of January. 5 months gets us to May, their check will start. So they'll get that decision sooner, as opposed to waiting 3 to 6 months and then waiting for that 5-month waiting period. So it all depends on each individual's case. Sometimes that 5 months is processed, covered within the time frame. Example, someone would say, I've been disabled since December 2012. 5 months later, you know, gets us to the May 2013. And even though we're in 2014, that 5-month waiting period is covered. So my point is that when they take the application, we will be able to process it quicker because it's a disabling condition, the compassion allowance, and then they'll still fall underneath that category. How much did you work? That equates to the check amount. How long do you have to wait for the check itself to come to you? Then we have that waiting period. But the process itself is sped up.
That's a marvelous advantage, a marvelous benefit there. And tell us again how people can get in touch with Social Security.
Mm-hmm. And so the variety of ways is, of course, they can call the 1-800 number, which is 1-800-772-1213. Now, make sure people know that is a national number. Sometimes people will call that number and they'll say, hey, is this the headquarters? Can I speak to the president, the commissioner? No. There's 16 different, what we call teleservices. So you can actually call that number today, hang up, and speak to someone in Lakewood, Ohio, hang up and speak to someone in Arizona, because it depends on who picks up that number. Then, of course, they can go to any of the local offices. Again, there are 2 in Akron, Ohio, 1 in Medina, this local area, or they can also go to our website at socialsecurity.gov. And I want to make sure that people do understand, because some people think that seniors don't use a computer. That is not true. And sometimes when I speak to the public and I'll ask them, so do you have a computer? Of course, some of the times their first answer is no. So then I switch it and I say, well, do you have any grandkids? Yes. You ever look at them on Facebook? Yes, I do all the time. And I'm like, oh, so now you have a Facebook application, which means they have access to a computer. They themselves do not have it, but they do have access through a grandson or daughter or what have you. So again, people can go to socialsecurity.gov, and I just want to make sure whatever way they use as a search engine, AOL, Yahoo, Bing, whatever search is, type in socialsecurity.gov, G-O-V, look for that G-O-V, and they can access our website.
Well, Robert, it's been such a pleasure having you with us again. Thank you so much for all the valuable information you've given to us. And I thank all of you also for viewing us today and tuning in to RSVP TV. Please do remember our sponsor, Mature Services, the RSVP program there. And again, thank you so much for being with us and have a wonderful day. I'm Irma Baker.
Since 1971, RSVP has been matching volunteers' talents to community needs. RSVP is affiliated with the Corporation for National and Community Service, a national organization that supports service and volunteering through grant-funded projects. Volunteers organize neighborhood watch programs, tutor children, renovate homes, plant community gardens, assist victims of natural disasters, and serve their communities in many other ways. RSVP offers maximum flexibility and choice to its volunteers as it matches the personal interests and skills of Americans 55 and older with opportunities to serve their communities. If you're interested in adding more meaning to your life and improving the lives of others, please call 330-253-4597, extension 166.
There's no place like home. Stay in your home with a 24-hour companion that doesn't need to be let outside, who isn't a grown adult reluctant to leave the nest, or a well-meaning neighbor who pops in every day. With Massillon Cable TV's MedAlert Personal Emergency Response System, you can stay home, have peace of mind, and your family will feel better too, knowing you have access to someone 24/7 should you need help. Keep your independence with Massillon Cable TV's MedAlert service. To learn more, call 330-833-4134. That's 833-4134. Or visit their website, MassillonCableTV.com.